Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a build for the Hunter for the Grandmaster this week. This week, it is the Lotus Eater, so a lot of you guys, I'm sure, are going to be trying to get into a Nightfall. But the Nightfall this week can definitely be difficult if you're not prepared. So here's a build that's going to let you complete this thing basically every single time. No matter what your teammates are bringing into the GM, you're always going to be able to get that completion. For this Nightfall, we're looking for two main things: add clear and no survivability, and it just so happens that we have it on the same class for the Hunter. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys are not ready for more builds. And if you guys are looking for some help with this week's GM, I'm going to be streaming helping people out with the GM this week over on Twitch, so I'll also leave that in the comments below. So anyways, let's get started and let's take a look at some of these exotics. So starting off with the exotic weapon, we are going to be on the Wish Ender. This is just the perfect weapon for this build, and it's gonna make dealing with those barriers super easy. You can basically just one-shot the barriers with the Wish Ender, so as long as you can have a line of sight on the barrier, you're gonna be able to just destroy it from any range. It's just gonna be doing some fantastic damage against some of the smaller enemies, so you'll also be able to one-shot them. Sometimes you can actually use one-shot them to the body. It's just a really good weapon. And since it's also an exotic primary, that means they're gonna be building up your super quite a bit every time that you do some damage with the bow. And this thing really is going to come in handy at the end with the boss fight. You're basically just able to stand back and just pick things off with the bow. It's definitely not going to be the fastest way of actually doing the boss fight, but it's definitely going to be the safest, and it's guaranteed that you always get that clear. Now for our exotic piece of armor, we are going to be on the Orpheus rigs, meaning that every time that we shoot our tether, we're going to gain back our abilities if we tether some things. It can give us up to 50% of our super back, as well as just fill up all our abilities. This thing is going to be fantastic. It's going to let us deal with those group spats a lot easier since they're going to be tethered. And it's also going to let you charge up your teammates' supers. So if they have like an add clear super, or a damage super, or a well, no matter what they have, they're just going to be able to use that a lot more often. A lot of time, what you're running into the LFGs that I've seen is that you're running into a lot of wells. So by making all these orbs, you're just constantly charging the well, giving you a bit more survivability. But you do have to keep in mind you run into all sorts of things in LFG. For one of my runs, I think I ran into a guy that had a Nova Bomb, and the other guy had a Golden Gun. But it doesn't matter what they have, they're going to be able to use their super a lot more often, and the add clear that you get just from being able to spam your super is just going to be fantastic. Now for the other weapons you want to pair up with the Wish Ender, I would just say just go double fusion. The other type champion is the Unstoppable, so any linear fusion rifle is going to be able to stun it and also do a ton of damage. But if you don't want to just rely on heavy itself, you could also slap on a normal fusion rifle, so you can also stun the champions that way, and you also double up on particle deconstruction since both of your weapons are going to be able to use it. Now for the actual fusion and linear fusion you want to use, that can really be up to you. Pretty much any of them would work, so any good endgame linear fusion will work pretty well. I was using the Doom Petitioner as well as the Afterlight, the brand new one, just to try it out. But like I said, both of these are very flexible. As long as it's a fusion and a linear fusion, it's all going to be up to you. Now moving on to the subclass, we are going to be on just regular Night Stalker with the normal Shadow Shot Deadfall. Nothing really special here, pretty normal. Now for your abilities, the first one you want to go with is going to be the Gambler's Dodge. So every time that you dodge next targets, we get our melee back. Our melee is going to be very important, and it's also going to give us some more survivability since it's going to be making us invis. Now for your grenade, it doesn't really matter which one you go with, but the suppressor grenade is pretty good, since whenever things are suppressed, they won't attack you. And also if any of the Hive Guardians pop their super when you don't want them to, you can just throw a suppressor grenade and get them right out of it. So it also has that use, but like I said, the grenade is not going to be super important. You can pretty much go with any of them. Now for our aspects, this is where a lot of our survivability is going to be, because we're going to have Vanishing Step as well as Trapper's Ambush. So both our dodge and our melee are going to be making us invisible, meaning that our invisibility uptime is going to be pretty high. And we're also going to be able to make our teammates invisible with Trapper's Ambush. So if we like revive them and just want to make sure that you stay alive, or we just need to like move to a safer area, we can just make people invisible and get them to a good place. Now if you have both of your abilities, I would say that you always kind of want to go for your smoke grenade first to go invisible with that, and then you want to use your dodge. And that's because if you use your dodge next to some enemies, you'll get back your melee. So then you can go invisible with that again, essentially chaining 3 invisibilities just back to back to back, never being in any danger. And by the time like your second invisibility from the Trapper's Ambush is up, you're pretty much going to have your Vanishing Step again, so then you can do it all over again. So just keep that in mind when you're playing to get the most out of your invisibility. And lastly, for our fragments, the very first one we're going to have is going to be starvation, meaning that every time they pick up an orb or a void breach, we're going to gain devour. Whenever we get some kills, we're going to get grenade energy, as well as heal every single time. So it's going to add a bit more survivability, as well as being able to spam our grenade a lot more often. After that, we're going to have the echo persistence. This is going to increase the timer of our invisibility, our overshields, and devour. Our devour can stack up to 15 seconds with this, meaning that we basically always have it on. And the invisibility gets a couple more seconds. So you want to get just the most out of your invisibility, this is going to help you right here. After that, we're going to have the echo with security. This is going to give us some invisibility every time that we go for a finisher. So even if we finish something in the middle of enemies, this is going to be able to keep us alive after the finisher. And lastly, we're going to have the echo of vigilance, meaning that whenever we defeat a target, while we're low on health, whenever our shields are broken, we gain an overshield, giving us a bit more survivability. That overshield that you get can be a lifesaver, especially in some tense situations when things are all over the place. It's definitely going to be really good. So all of our subclass right here essentially is just so we can keep ourselves alive as well as our teammates. Now for the artifact here, the main things you're looking for are going to be for particle deconstruction, so both of your fusions do more damage. The Defibrillating Blast, because this thing is just so good in any sort of GM. Every time they stun a champion, you get max stacks of bolt charge, and you're also going to be healing as well as jolting a bunch of targets. This, you never want to take this off whenever you're doing GMs, always have it on. Dreadful Finisher is also going to be really good whenever we finish champions or powerful combatants. We're guaranteed to get some special for us and also our teammates. And since we go invisible whenever we do a finisher, it's pretty safe for us to use this. Flashover is also going to be really good, so your bolt charge does a little of extra damage. And if you run into any titans, the chances of their own bolt charge is pretty high. Elemental Siphon is also going to be pretty good, so we can get some elemental pickups even with our Wish Ender. And these last two are optional, but if you went with a Void Fusion or a Void Linear, then Volatile Marksman and Malignant Harvest are going to be pretty good. It just adds a little bit extra to the build. You get the volatile rounds and some weekends, but without it, it's still going to be fun. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods we have on the build, and let's start with the helmet. For the helmet, we're going to have Kinetic Siphon, so we can make some orbs with our Wish Ender. After that, we have Radiant Light. We're going to be popping our super a lot, so every time that we pop it, we'll give our teammates some armor charge. And lastly, Heavy Ammo Finder, just so we can be topped up on ammo. For the gauntlets, you want to go Focusing Strike, Bolstering Detonation, and Impact Induction. So whenever we do some damage with our abilities, they're going to recharge our other abilities. Mostly our class ability, since whenever we use our dodge, not only are we going invisible, but we can also recharge our melee. Next for your chest piece, you pretty much just want to have your resistances. There's a lot of arc damage in the strike, so you definitely want to have arc resistance. You want to have harmonic resistance, since there's a lot of void damage, and it's also void thread, so you're going to be taking even more damage from void sources, so you definitely want to have this on. And then there's also a lot of AoE abilities, so Concussive Dampener is going to be doing some heavy lifting the strike. Now for the boots, you want to have Absolution, so every time that you pick up an orb, it lowers the cooldowns on all your abilities, as well as Recuperation, meaning that every time that you pick up an orb, you heal. Now this one, it's a little bit flexible. Also Restoration, always good, you could always go for this, to get even more ability energy when picking up orbs. Or if you feel like you want some more ammo in your heavy, you could go with Harmonic Scavenger. And lastly, for the class item, you want to go with Bomber, Powerful Attraction, and also Reaper. Reaper is going to let us make orbs after using our class ability. Powerful Attraction will let us pick up any orbs in the area whenever we use our class ability. And Bomber will reduce our grenade cooldown whenever we use our class ability. So they're all kind of related to the class ability, but they're all going to be fantastic. And with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build, boys. Now you guys have pretty much everything to go into this week's GM and be able to just conquer it, no matter what your teammates are doing. Now for the gameplay you guys been seeing in the background, I don't know what percentage of it will be that run, but I basically have some people that are pretty new to the GM. They actually said like right before they started that both of them were pretty new to the GM, and then one of them also got disconnected just halfway through. And these are not people that know each other, these are just people from LFG. So then me and this guy basically used two-man the rest of the GM, and we got clear. It is not like an impressive time, it took like 40 minutes, but we were still able to get the clear pretty safely thanks to this build. Basically at the boss fight, you want to just kind of hang out back here, and then when there is time to go for the spears, you use Judge Invisibility and go for the spears. You can pretty much deal with most of the things in the boss fight from back here, just remember to shoot your tether in the middle where all the ads are, so you can deal with a lot of the ads and whatever champion spawn. I think there's only like one champion that spawns in the boss fight, but you definitely want to take it out as soon as you can. Now, when it comes to like picking up the spears, all you have to do is just go invisible. Again, I recommend that you use your smoke first and then use your dodge so you can regain your smoke. That's always pretty much what you want to do. You pick up the spear, you go back to the plate, and you just keep shooting those spears. You'll also be able to make your teammates invisible, so if they're brave enough and they want to go with you to grab a spear, it does speed up the process quite a bit. On this run, I was doing the spear all by myself, so it took a little longer, but even if you just take one more person with you and make them invisible, 2 people throwing spears will make it so much faster. Remember, you're going to be getting your tether back really quickly, so don't hesitate on using it, just throw it out there. And if you or your teammates are in danger, also do not hesitate to just drop the invisibility on them. Waiting a couple seconds for the cooldown is definitely much better than having to go to orbit and redo the whole strike over again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, hopefully you guys liked it. Like always, there's going to be a dim link in the description and in the comments below in case you guys want to check out the build. And if you guys end up using it or help to get your clear, make sure you guys come back here and tell me. Or if you made any changes to the build, also tell me about those and just tell me how you liked it. As always, thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care everyone, have a good rest of your day, peace.